So, like I explained during the shape extrude node, the curve node is actually really awesome at being able to create some really interesting shapes and masks. Now, it is not actually limited to being able to plug into the shape extrude node. We can actually utilize the gradients that the curve creates into making some really awesome patterns and effects inside of Substance Designer. So, let's actually just plug in a pretty basic gradient here. Let's just do the gradient. Let's see, gradient. Let's do the gradient linear. And let's plug it into all our output nodes. And you're going to start seeing, it's better off by doing on a plane so we can kind of see what's going on. So instantly, because we're plugging in a black and white mask or a black and white gradient from black to white, you can kind of see the effects that it's doing. We're getting this high peak of white on this side, and it's going all the way to this black as the lowest peak on the height map. So that's where we're getting this nice slant here. Now, if we wanted to change the contour and shape of this, we can actually just, like we did before, we can plug in this gradient into a curve. Move this here, and we can start plotting down some points. And from here, we can actually manipulate this and kind of see the effects that it's giving us. So instantly here, we're getting some nice curve nodes. If you wanted to do a little harsher and not have this curve, we can actually click on one of these and do, I believe it's one of these to get like a nice, almost like harsh line in here. So we can actually go in here and start moving stuff. We can snap this one as well. Let's do this. And you can kind of see the effects that it's giving us. So we can actually just keep plotting points and get kind of the shape that we're like looking for to our liking. So we can keep messing things like this. Let's just plot some more in here, and maybe, yeah, this one's pretty cool. Get some really harsh shapes in here. Let's do another one in here. Let's over here. Cool. And let's just do one over here for good measure. So let's bring this over here, and then let's. So we're kind of just creating some very interesting silhouette or shape that we can later mess with. So let's do here, and let's bring this over here. Yeah, perfect. So let's say we have something cool like this. We can utilize something like this to create some really awesome frames if we wanted to around our texture. So one way of doing that is by reintroducing a node that we talked about a little bit in the earlier video tutorials. And that's by bringing in one of the transform nodes that I talked about, the trapezoid transform grayscale. Before we do this though, let's just bring in a transform and squash down this all the way up. We're gonna take off the tiling mode. So we're gonna change it to absolute. We're gonna do no tiling. From here, we have one edge of our frame. So from here, this is where we plug in our trapezoid. Now, to have a nice, almost like how frames are actually constructed, to have a nice cut here or a break, all we're gonna do is we're gonna start bringing in this bottom stretch. We're gonna do a 2, see if that'll work. So from here, we'll be able to bring in a mirror grayscale. Let's plug this in here. And we're gonna mirror on the x-axis. Let's bring another transform. Gonna take the result of our mirror and we're gonna rotate it. Now we're gonna blend it top of each other. And we're just gonna do an add, and voila. So just by introducing the previous node that we learned in the quad transform video, the trapezoid transform, we're able to get a nice frame with a clean cut here that makes it look man-made. And the cool thing is that we can actually go back into this transform and non-destructively just go say we wanted to make an even thinner frame. And we're still gonna have this really cool, almost like really cool design on our frame based on the ones we did or based on the design that we had first plotted in the curve node. Now the cool thing about here is that we can actually go in and start messing with this, and we're going to see it live update. So this is just one of the cool ways of being able to kind of link different nodes together to create some really cool results. And that's what I'm trying to show off in this series in particular. So not only did we talk about the curve node in the shape extrude video, but we also talked about the trapezoid node in the quad transform video. So up next, we're going to talk about the dust and dirt nodes that can help us give a little bit more detail once we're finished with our main height map and we start getting into our albedo color.